A free press is defined as a press in which political communications are not regulated by government. And prior to Watergate and the charter of the FEC in 1975, we the people enjoyed the unalienable speech and press rights that were enumerated for us as living beings in our Constitution. Just as the Occupy Wall Street crowd and the Move to Amend crowd have advocated, we enjoyed those rights. And think of this. Freedom of the press is the right to use a printing press, technology. And unlike free speech, which you can engage in, for instance, you and I, if we're not involved in a cell phone conversation that involves buying time by the minute or a monthly contract, we can talk to each other without any money being involved. But free press is unlike free speech because it's always involved the cost of buying paper, ink, and paying for the distribution or the publishing of what you print. Now, I remind you, we the people had the right to communicate our political ideas and opinions long before any business was considered to have that right, including newspapers. In fact, during the first 184 years of our nation's history, we the people enjoyed the same freedom that newspaper and broadcasters enjoy today. So the point is that if we wanted to pool our money with other citizens who shared our view during the first 184 years to pay the cost of operating the printing press and exercising our free press rights, we simply did it. We were not required to form a political action committee or some form of corporation to enjoy the rights that were enumerated for we the people. It was the campaign finance laws that followed Watergate that brought about this unique idea that freedom of the press was not the right of human beings, as the Occupy Wall Street crowd properly defines them, and it became the right exclusively of newspaper and broadcast businesses. Now, how did this happen? Well, it's obvious that newspaper and broadcast businesses would not support campaign finance laws if they were going to be restricted by them. So what happened is their lobbyists met with select members of Congress to work out their exemption from the laws that were going to restrict the rights of their readers, their viewers, and their listeners, you and me. They did this without informing us. And I remind you, this is the Fourth Estate. They're supposed to be helping to protect your rights and mine, and they're supposed to keep us informed of what's going on in government. And Congress had no right to ignore the rights that were enumerated for we the people and simply pass an ordinary law, a campaign finance law, as if it could amend the Constitution and change our rights. Both things happened, and they happened without seeking our knowledge or consent. All lawful government, I would remind you, in a democracy, is based on the informed consent of the people. You can't cheat people out of their informed consent, and you can't get their consent without seeking it. So they robbed us of our rights without seeking our consent, and that's been what campaign reform has been about for the past 38 years. The real anger over Citizens United is not what you hear in the news or even from the Move to Amend group. The anger is that the Citizens United decision was a direct assault on the idea that free press was the exclusive right of newspaper and broadcast businesses and that nobody else, be it corporations, 501 nonprofits, or any group of individual citizens, didn't enjoy the same right. That's what this was. So those who liked the status quo, like the system where only the newspapers and broadcasters enjoyed our rights, are trying to restore those rights for these institutions by ignoring the question of free press being our right. Please seriously consider contacting your members of Congress and letting them know that if they expect to be reelected when their next election comes up, they're going to amend that press exemption and include every citizen or group of citizens who pool money to communicate their political ideas and opinions in that exemption so that we can once again, as living beings, enjoy the rights that the Occupy Wall Street crowd and the Move to Amend group are advocating. That would be a real reform, not this nonsense that we keep hearing, this one-sided debate. Please, seriously consider these ideas, and thanks for your time.